Where do we start? Well, first of all, we start like this, okay? First of all, I want to say, you're one good-looking son of a bitch, don't you ever die. And then, I want to say massive, massive thank you to His Excellency Turki Al-Sheikh for putting this fight on, an event. I want to say massive shout-out to Dr. Rakan, massive shout-out to Spencer Brown, and I want to say a massive shout-out to His Royal Highness MBS as well for making this possible. Colossal event. You got me and Francis Ngannou here, you know, the UFC, former UFC. Everyone said he was an idiot for walking away from the UFC. And now all of a sudden he's a genius, isn't he? Guy's about to make $10 million. Come on!
You're now the WBC #1 guy. If you fought Devin Haney in 2 weeks, what happened?
I beat him.
Decision or knockout?
Knockout.
What round?
Probably like the 8th round. You know, this guy I fought, man, this guy was tough.
The weigh in is optimum weight. He doesn't want to weigh in fat and heavy, and I'm sure he won't, but you know what I'm trying to say.
For sure. I mean, we saw Wilder come in heavier in the second Tyson Fury fight. He didn't look any better for it. I feel like Ngannou is going to benefit by being
Alright, here we go, boys. Let's come back
already.
to that. And let's just take a look at what is going on. Do we think he's going to take his shirt off? That's what Tyson's trying to get him to do.
He's going to be in better shape right now than Tyson Fury is.
No, he's not going to do it. I think he's probably someone that if you tell Francis to do it, he'll probably not do it just because you're asked him to.
So the report is that Frank Martin has opted out of the fight against Shakur Stevenson, and I happen to believe it is the right thing to do. I feel that people are going to seize the opportunity to call Frank Martin a dog, or this or that, play on his name. I've seen that already, and I understand. Don't get me wrong. I understand. But, you know, cutting the bullshit out, I think it's the right thing to do. I think that he was either very brave or very stupid. There was no chance, absolutely no chance with the experience that he has of him beating Shakur Stevenson. We were talking about him fighting Keyshawn Davis, who's on his level. I even still thought that Keyshawn Davis was above his level. And for some reason, somehow, some way, he got fast-tracked to a fight with Shakur Stevenson. And the reason why Shakur Stevenson wants that fight is because he's desperate. Why would Shakur Stevenson even consider that fight if it wasn't for the fact that nobody wants to fight him and he is a victim of his own success and his own fucking arrogance and his own stupidity? It's a combination when it comes to Shakur Stevenson why people don't want to fight him. It is what it is. But, you know, that's by the by. Speaking strictly about Frank Martin here, I made a video, and I'm glad I didn't put the video out because, you know, just as I was finishing that video off, putting the finishing touches to it, I just saw a clip that said that Frank Martin has opted out of the fight against Shakur Stevenson. And I felt like, you know what, that's the right thing to do. Because in the video that I had made previously that I didn't put out, I said that he stood no chance. Absolutely no chance against Shakur Stevenson. You might like to think that because he's associated with Derek James or Errol Spence, which more or less is the reason why he got busted up. And you know, that formula there has been questioned and has been tarnished. It's been tainted and tarnished, it's been questioned due to the fact that Errol Spence went out the way he did against Terence Crawford, who you would associate with being team Shakur Stevenson, team Keyshawn Davis. He's about to take another L against that team, and that doesn't look good. It wouldn't even look good for PBC because you see the way things are, because these people are black, people are expanding it beyond the necessary. They're attaching it to things to do with like one team against the other team, one side of the street against the other side of the street, things that they said they were against, because it just seems they've been able to create a narrative which pits one side against another. They're saying that, yeah, that's PBC taking a whole bunch of L's. And this was a guaranteed L. Frank Martin fighting Shakur Stevenson was a guaranteed L. There was just no way around it. He didn't have the experience. He might have the athleticism. There were some people on social media who were trying to talk up the idea that he has a wrestling background of some sort. He looks very strong, of course. And there were times that he does seem to have some talent. He does seem to have some moves. But the way I put it in the video that I didn't put out, I'm going to just repeat what I said, was this. It was like trying to get somebody who's very good at street fighting and putting them against a fully trained, fully weaponized Navy SEAL Marine, a real nasty born killer. And trying to get somebody who's just been gangbanging in the streets and say, yeah, you know, I mean, they might still be both be able to kill, but one is just more technically sound than the other. And I just felt that the level that Shakur Stevenson's at far supersedes the level that Frank Martin is at this moment. I think it's very important that we also qualify it that way. That Frank Martin, what he's lacking is experience. And what he's lacking is, I'm not going to say he lacks talent. I don't really know that, you know, it is what it is. I think he's actually quite good. The stuff that I have seen of him, but based upon the opposition, we can only, you know, we felt the same thing about Shakur Stevenson before he beat the brakes off, Jamel Herring. You know what I'm saying? Before he convinced us, before he beat the brakes off Jamel Herring, then he beat the absolute shit out of fucking Oscar Valdez. Then we kind of knew, okay, you know what? All that's got to stop. This guy seems to be the truth. He is what they say he is. It is what he says on the tin when it comes to Shakur Stevenson. So Frank Martin might end up being that dude. Unfortunately, because of the way he's being promoted, okay, I think that Errol Spence is using that sort of Floyd Mayweather method of pushing their man to the front based upon the popularity of the fighter before. However, because Errol Spence took that loss the way he did, it's not necessarily going to work for Floyd Mayweather as the way he promoted Tank. You understand me? You know what I mean? And they've managed Tank properly. Tank would never go into a fight like that unless it was a guaranteed win. So I you know, people, you can criticize Tank as much as you want. You can criticize Leonard Ellaby as much as you want. I fucking hate the way he carries on and on and on. But let's keep it real. That method, to a certain degree, has worked. You can hate the fact that you know, some people, they have a variety of prejudices against the dude, and so do I. I don't think he's a very smart person. I think they over exaggerate his ability. Not so much that he's not very talented, and I qualify it with the word very talented. That's an adjective, right? You know what I'm saying? To qualify it. I'm not saying that he's not very talented, but he's also got limitations based upon size. And I don't think that big punch that they happen to think that is his get out of jail free card is always going to work. It's always going to be a situation. There's always going to be a situation where he ends up meeting that one person who's going to do him like Tyson Fury did Deontay the Bronze Bomber Wilder. But, you know, let's not make absolute comparisons there, because we all know that Deontay the Bronze Bomber Wilder simply could not box. However, going back to Frank Martin, this is the thing about boxing. We go into all other areas, don't we, to make comparisons, rightfully or wrongfully. You know what I mean? But that's the joy of it. That's why we can have those kind of conversations. But truthfully, I hold nothing against Frank Martin not taking the fight against Shakur Stevenson. I believe it would have been a guaranteed loss. It would have been embarrassing for Frank. It would have totally derailed his career. You know what I mean? We don't need that kind of psychological defeat at this moment. I honestly believe that Oscar Valdez, when he was in his pump, he should have not lost the last fight that he had. What was it, against Ramirez? Oh no, against Navarrete, for fuck's sake. Oscar Valdez lost against Navarrete, who was coming up. And I think that is some leftover, the psychological effect of the way he lost to Shakur Stevenson. Obviously, there's also the issue of PEDs, but you know, that's by the by. That's by the by. I think that Frank Martin was going down that route, and some people were pushing him deliberately down that route. Shakur Stevenson is desperate to get some kind of fight and look fantastic again, get some kind of money. So he was, you know, but honestly, in a different setting, under a different scenario, that is a kind of fight that Shakur Stevenson should be rejecting, based upon the fact that Frank Martin simply is not on his level. But because Frank Martin, all right, was the only one who probably foolishly wanted to convey the idea that he ain't afraid of nobody, he'd fight anybody, decided to put his name out there. Shakur Stevenson grabbed it. It was going to be easy money for him, and now it's been ripped away. And I just say, thank God. Thank God. I really did not want Frank. I don't want Frank Martin. I don't have anything against dude. I don't need him to get embarrassed, to get beaten up, humiliated, and have a situation that's going to affect his career at this stage. He should be trying to talk that shit to people like Andy Cruz and Keyshawn Davis. And Keyshawn Davis got a lot to say for himself anyway. So you know they should. That's their fucking class. They should be dealing with that. Not trying to fucking. And Shakur Stevenson, move your bitch ass up, man, to 140. Trying to fight somebody 135. Actually, he just moved up in it. Really sorry. I don't know. But maybe he should move up, man. I think he can fight at 135, can't he? I mean, it's not size according to his sensei. According to Terence Crawford right now, who wants to fight everybody, wants to fight fucking Bivol next, I'm guessing. Sorry. You know what I mean? I'm just getting a bit tired of Terence Crawford too, with the whole, I need to fucking Canelo shit. Man, you know what I mean? Just relax a bit, bro. Relax a little bit, man. So anyway, man, I'm just saying, man. Frank Martin, well done, yeah. You don't need that. Doesn't matter what anybody says. You're still gonna have your support out there. It was a wrong fucking move to do. You don't have enough experience. You just need to build up a little bit more. Yeah, listen. This is why it's good to build up fighters. I don't even understand that. I don't think that. You see, here's the thing. I don't think that Bob Arum would ever let that happen to a fighter that he's invested in. But obviously, and I was surprised. I was thinking, like, was PBC really gonna farm out? That's the way I used it. That's the term I used in the video that I didn't put out. Were they really gonna farm out Frank Martin? Were they really gonna farm out Frank Martin so he could get his ass beat like that against a guy who's just head and shoulders above a fighter like that? It's pretty obvious. I mean, we can talk about the eye test, but I think on this occasion, you know what I mean? It's like you have a V8 against a fucking 1.5 liter or something like that. The fuck, man? You know? All right, thank you very much for listening, and goodbye. On this occasion. Now we're going to talk about something else, I suppose.
There is no Anthony Joshua to me, is there? Just
what is he to you?
Gym sweeper. Sweeps the gym floors and that. Gets beat up on by people. It's like an old journeyman now. If you're a decent heavyweight, you want to beat up on somebody, call him out. Beat him easy. Sausage.
Do you think he'll ever get in a ring with you?
Nah, never. I'm on to the big fights. And I don't mean beating men. I'm on about the big boys. His Excellency Turki Al Sheikh, he's the entertainment minister and Mr. Dr. Rakan and MBS, they made it possible for this to happen.
How good is it for Tyson to have sort of his Saudi reps and get those fights out there, Shane?
Tyson's got the powerfulest people in the world behind him now.
Biggest show they've ever done in the UK since they started, Netflix. Beat that! TV gold, Hollywood next. I've got a couple of goals. I've got one goal is going to beat this and become the baddest man on the planet. Yeah. Second goal is I'm going to top the Forbes list this year on the richest athlete this year. And the third list is a Hollywood movie. Done.
Who's going to play you?
Denzel Washington. I've told you all along.
Usyk, if you go on Usyk, he's not the type to, like these slick Americans, slip, and then crunch you with a left hook and put your lights out. What he does, he runs around the ring like this here, until he's got his distance, and then he's coming forward. I reckon it's a 4-round stoppage, generally. I think Tyson will slice through him to pieces. Tyson will rip through him like butter.
How important is it to have a relationship with these guys in Saudi Arabia as well?
Yeah, they're real. I mean, they're really, you're talking about the future. I mean, these people are going to be big players in entertainment and sports, and to be part of it for us is just really great. It's really very important.
With these guys in Saudi Arabia, at some point next year, we get Fury Usyk?
Absolutely. I mean, now that we're involved with these people who are real.
Generally speaking, of course, there isn't really that much to talk about in boxing at the moment, is there? Unless we choose to debase ourselves and go and do some sort of false, sort of pseudo deep dive into the fight between Tyson Fury and Francis Ngannou in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. I suppose, you know what though? Tell you what, you know, the good thing about that is it allows us to sort of be reckless and be outlandish as much as we want to be. Because let's keep it a buck, it's not a real fight. So that being the case, we should be able to entertain whatever kind of ridiculous conspiracy theory we want to. Because we know that the guy is a useless liar and there's hardly any point in trying to take him seriously, so let's not take the fight seriously. And here's my contribution to that, from that perspective, in the sense that we're doing some sort of I was going to say psychoanalysis, but it's not, some sort of pseudo psychoanalysis, some sort of pseudo deep dive into the motivation and principles and fundamentals behind getting this fight made. What it means politically, dare I say, without all the jargon. And what it does mean is that Frank Warren gets to pose with a Arab sheikh for once in his life and pretend that they are the ones controlling everything. And as a matter of fact, he and Bob Arum, the combination of these two old fucking codgers, can get together with Tyson Fury and somehow say that market is closed, because that's more or less what I got from the utterances from this sheikh. And the funny thing is, this sheikh doesn't really look real to me. It doesn't look like a real sheikh. He must be a real sheikh, I'm guessing, but it didn't look right to me. Something there doesn't seem right. That's just me. I could be absolutely wrong. But I'm looking at this sheikh and it looks like one of those dodgy sheikhs that the Sun used to wheel out back in the day to sort of entrap people, to say something stupid, like a royal trying to get business deals and stuff. So they get some fake shake and they tape the situation. And you know, there used to be a guy known for it back in the day. He was known as a fake shake or something like that. And he would sort of offer these people, these very influential people, all sorts of business deals. And they would say something controversial on tape and they would capture it and then, of course, leak it to the public. And, you know, that person's goose is cooked. But here's the thing on this occasion, I think that there's more propaganda. There's more than the eye can see. I think there's something there that doesn't seem right to me. On top of the fact that, you know, Tyson Fury decided to leak the information of how much Francis Ngannou is supposedly getting for this mega fight. Just 10 million? You had to go all the way. I suppose if you're talking about Francis Ngannou, 10 million is a big fucking deal, but come on. If this is supposed to be a game changer and a big fight on the level that they're talking about, $10 million is all they're going to give him? That's some nigger wages, bruv. Because you're contributing to helping this guy, Tyson Fury, get over the hump and become some kind of international superstar, some spirit. Because, you know, here's the thing. Tyson Fury knows that his audience is limited in boxing. A lot of people don't believe him. There's only so much white people can sort of, you know, try to make it out like he's something he isn't. He's scared shitless of getting beat. So he needs to cross over to UFC and make it sort of like a hybrid WWE sort of event. Chances of Francis Ngannou beating Tyson Fury are very slim, but here's where I'm going to indulge in a conspiracy theory and say this: what if Tyson Fury decides to throw the fight? Because we're sort of buying into this whole idea that he's the baddest man on the planet, and blah 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 blah. But it doesn't mean a jot if at the end of the day he loses to a MMA UFC fighter, as opposed to fighting somebody like Usyk or dare I say Anthony Joshua. Because those aren't boxing matches. The only way that you could sort of suggest that Francis Ngannou beats him is if he gets lucky, a lucky punch. What if Tyson Fury decides to throw that fight in the way that his people do and clean up at the bookies? Because I have this feeling, the way he came in, the way he looked, his shape, everything just looks way... and this is old news. This thing has become a cliche, a very bad cliche. This suit of his and this body that he shows off and all this nonsense. It's got tired. Nobody's interested in that kind of crap anymore. And the noise he makes and everything is just fucking trash, bro. I think the people who are still laughing at that are forcing themselves to laugh. They feel obligated to laugh because, you know, the whole fucking thing is cringe. It's cringe as fuck. I heard that Tyson Fury is probably the cringiest, the most cringe heavyweight I've seen in a very long time. It's just god awful. And they're letting him off it because he's got the, I suppose on this occasion I can really say that he's got the complexion for the protection. Because it's absolutely fucking dreadful. There's no way in hell they should be paying this guy, if what they're talking about is true, the amount of money they're supposedly paying him. I don't even think, where's the market gonna come from? Who's gonna watch this shit? Have you seen Francis Ngannou box lately? If you want to know about Francis Ngannou, regardless of what this shit that they got going on with Mike Tyson training him and all that, that's not going to be enough. If you want to see Francis Ngannou box, go watch him against Stipe Miocic. Now, Stipe Miocic in UFC, right, was a boxer. He was a junior gloves boxer. I think golden gloves are what they call it in the United States of boxer. All right, and then he, of course, he moved over to UFC. I don't know his background, but I do know that they mentioned that back in the day, and that's why he had an advantage over a lot of people in UFC because a lot of them can't box. Now, prior to the fight that he had with Francis Ngannou knocked out Alistair Overeem, knocked him out viciously. Stipe Miocic in 2018 was ringside, and everybody thought, oh, whoa, this is going to be a fucking problem for Stipe Miocic. But he still went to the fight, and guess what? Stipe Miocic outpointed him. It was a unanimous decision win for Stipe Miocic. And after that, Ngannou lost again. So this notion, this idea that they're trying to sell, that Francis Ngannou is the baddest man on the planet, is a little crap. If he really was that bad, they would have kept him in UFC. They would have kept him in UFC. They're not stupid over there. Why they pay for... I mean, look, maybe he doesn't have the audience that needs to back a guy like that, because, you know, a lot of times it's got to do with nationality, ethnicity, and so on and so forth, and it just doesn't, you know, they can only be that generous towards a guy like Francis Ngannou. And I think they've been very generous to him based upon the fact that they want to talk about his background. It's sort of like one of those success stories, you know, rags to riches type of thing that a lot of people love in boxing and all these sort of combat sports things that you have. But they can only sell it that much, and after a while, when he's demanding a little bit more, they sort of fucking bounce, because that's what Dana White does. Dana White ain't gonna pay you enough so you can, like, I don't know, man. Dana White, he keeps those people very, very hungry. It's fucking terrible. But that being said, So he goes into a fight with Stipe Miocic and loses. That guy, and you need to see little clips of that fight. Just watch the way Francis Ngannou was even moving when he was trying to bang with this, stand and bang with this dude. Fucking horrible. Fucking horrible. And I don't think that Mike Tyson of all people cannot fix that, because Mike Tyson's style is pure aggression. It's pure aggression. And if it doesn't work, he gets frustrated, and that's how he loses. That's how he lost anyway. And I mean, that's what Tony Atlas says about him. So that being said, man, I don't know. But I just want to also put this out there. Like, what if this guy's running game? What if Frank Warren, forgive me, I don't know why I posted, Frank Warren knows something about a rematch clause? Because here's the thing, I read something where he said like he would rematch Francis Ngannou in a UFC octagon. Why would you do that? Why would you do that? And then of course he's talking about fighting Jim Jones and how he's not going to fight Usyk. We kind of predicted that he was going to fight Usyk anyway, because that was supposed to be their get out of jail free card, that Danny Dubois was going to be some kind of spoiler. And they'll take what they've got at the moment. Okay, fine. You know what? Yeah, they'll take that. Yeah, as far as they're concerned, he beat Usyk. Usyk quit. Blah blah blah. Daniel Dubois was robbed, etc. etc. They'll run with that. That's their story, and they're gonna stick to it. But I'm saying though, aside from all that other shit, what if he's trying to throw the fight, clean up the bookies? Because Francis Ngannou, I'm guessing the odds are stacked heavily against him. Heavily against him. And if they throw the fight, they can clean up. I don't put it above these people to do that. I don't put it above people to do that. I don't put it above the fucking syndicate and all these people that he's attached to do that. And if he loses to Francis Ngannou, I don't think that much of a big deal. It's just a cherry pick gone wrong. I think he can live with it. And then of course there'll be a rematch, which will be much bigger. Even though he says he doesn't want a rematch, there'll be a rematch. Because he's never, he's not known to keep his word, is he? So there'll be a rematch and they'll clean up again. That's my conspiracy theory. You know what I'm saying? I don't indulge in them a lot. In fact, I hardly ever indulge in them. But when it comes to Tyson Fury, why not? Fuck that guy.